Hello, and welcome to Meet the Meso Experts, a series from the Mesothelioma Applied Research Foundation, where we sit down with leaders and specialists who are making a difference in the mesothelioma community. Today's episode is brought to you by a generous supporter of the Meso Foundation, Dean, Omar, Branham, and Shirley, a law firm dedicated to representing mesothelioma patients and their families. We're joined today by Kathy Farinas and Cori Kapusta, who will help answer some of the most common questions that patients and families face when considering legal representation after a meso diagnosis. Kathy and Cori, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Brian, for having us.
Thank you.
All right, let's get started. Let's first get to some background information. Can you tell us a little bit about Dean, Omar, Branham, and Shirley and your work within the meso community?
Sure. And first, Brian, we do really want to take the time to thank you and the organization for all you do for our clients and all of those who may not have representation, but we think that the value of what the Mesothelioma Applied Research Foundation does, and I'll probably call it MARF a lot today because that's easier to say, but we think that it serves an enormous purpose in the community with our clients and the patients that deal with mesothelioma. So as far as DOBS is concerned, we greatly support organizations like MARF who are dedicated to trying to find cures for our clients and those afflicted with mesothelioma and be a resource for the families who are also dealing with the issue. Dean, Omar, Branham, and Shirley, often called DOBS for short, is headquartered in Dallas, Texas. It was founded 10 years ago from a various attorneys coming together to want to form a firm to do things in a way that really specializes on individualized attention to the patients who become our clients and their families. We not only continue to work on the cases for our individual clients, but it's one of the things at DOBS that we pride ourselves in is getting really involved in our community where we are, in our offices. We have offices in Pittsburgh and Indianapolis, and we have quite a few attorneys that also are on the West Coast in California. And so being active in our communities and doing community outreach, not just for asbestos diseases, but also feeding hungry and various different community-based things that we can be involved in. The other area that we really do stay involved in is just keeping apprised of what's going on in each of the individual states, as well as on the national level, in the legislature and in the FDA, making sure that we are being very vigilant about any kind of new laws that could potentially take the rights away from our client to bring lawsuits, or to defund programs that are trying to do research like MARF to find a cure, because our day, I think that would be the best day, is going to be the day that we know that we can cure mesothelioma and we don't have clients anymore. We can do other types of law. And I think the day that Cori and I and the rest of our attorneys at DOBS get to do something else because there's found a cure and there's no more asbestos out there hurting people, then we've accomplished our goal.
Thank you, Kathy. That's much appreciated. A meso diagnosis can feel overwhelming, and many patients don't know what steps to take first. Please let us know, how urgent is it for a patient to seek legal representation after being diagnosed with mesothelioma?
Brian, it is urgent. Because mesothelioma is a rapidly progressing disease, we encourage patients to seek legal representation as soon as possible. Every state's laws are different. There's different statutes. There's different areas that we need to address as quickly as possible. Making sure a case is filed timely and the case gets moved along is important. While we understand that the diagnosis is completely overwhelming for our patients and their families, we want to make sure that we're there as lawyers for them to guide them through the process. We find that a lot of our clients have a sense of relief once the legal aspect of their mesothelioma is in our hands and knowing that we're taking care of them. Once we're focusing on the legal aspects, we hope that our clients can focus on their medical care, their families, and everything else that they have to do while we take care of guiding them through litigation.
Thank you, Cori. So once a patient and their family decides to engage with legal counsel, I'm sure many families want to know what to expect once they begin. So how long do cases typically take from start to finish?
And that is a widely variant question. It depends a lot on where the exposures have occurred and where the individual lives, because it all is based largely on state law. In some instances, in very good and moving forward jurisdictions, forward-thinking jurisdictions, we can get someone a trial date as quickly as 6 months. However, it often does take longer. 6 months is going to be on the very near side of that estimate. Sometimes it can be as long as 2 years. So we stay very focused on trying to move the cases as quickly as possible, making sure that we are preserving evidence, including the patient's deposition, so that we are able to then take the family and the case through the process, regardless of how long it does take. But we are there to ensure that we are trying to address the client's concerns about their health and their financial and medical expenses that are continuing to accrue as they deal with their illness. So our goal is to move them along as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Kathy. So it sounds like choosing a law firm is a really large decision to make. What factors should a patient or family consider when selecting legal representation?
Brian, it's important for patients to understand who your lawyers are and what they can do for you. We encourage all of the patients to be diligent in finding the right lawyers for them. Meet with attorneys, ask questions, make sure your questions are answered, make sure you're comfortable with the answers that we give you. Ask who will be your lawyer, who will try the case. Will there be a dedicated lawyer working on your case? Who are the people that you're going to talk to regularly through the course of litigation? We always want to ensure that our clients are comfortable with us and the families are comfortable with us, and that the firm and the attorneys are the right fit. You want to trust the people who are handling your cases, and we want to be there, and we want to trust that we're doing the best job for you that we can.
Thanks, Cori. So one of the first challenges is often understanding where the exposure to asbestos happened. How does DOBS assist patients in identifying when and where asbestos exposure may have occurred?
So we spend a significant amount of time with our clients right from the very beginning of our contact with them, talking to them about their lives, where they've lived, what their parents did, what their household exposures could potentially be, everything from their childhood, their education, their careers, their families' careers, even travel sometimes comes into play. We encourage the clients to be very open and honest and forthcoming with us about their life and their experiences. Sometimes some feel embarrassed. We try to eliminate that right from the get-go. But in today's litigation, the products that they have used sometimes have declared bankruptcy. Others have really just not been explored in past litigation, such as talc products. And so we make sure that we're not leaving a stone unturned and talk to them about every aspect of their life, not just industrial or career-wise, but also their personal product use through their life. We work with the clients to explore all of these potential exposures and to hopefully be able to put the case in a proper posture to get compensation for those clients with the sources of exposure that they do identify.
Thank you, Kathy. Cori, in today's crazy, hectic world, patients and families already have so much on their plates. How much time and effort should a patient and their family anticipate dedicating to the litigation process?
We're really cognizant of how much our clients and their families have on their plates, especially with the diagnosis of mesothelioma, medical visits, medical bills that they're dealing with, everything else that goes on with life. So we try to limit the amount of time and effort that our clients need to spend with the litigation as much as possible. But it really is at the beginning of the litigation, what Kathy just described, telling their story and talking to us about their exposures and explaining to us where they've traveled in their life or where they worked and what all their exposures of asbestos could have been. We say that at the beginning of the litigation, we try to spend the most time with our patients. And then as we move along through litigation, their effort and time is not needed as much. While they concentrate on fighting their medical matter, we're going to continue to fight for them in the legal arena. So I would say it varies, but depending on how much a client is able to provide information-wise to us, the beginning of litigation, including their depositions and the information they provide, is the most time and effort that they'll spend with the litigation. As we move towards the trial, there will be a little bit more time involved, but really at the beginning of the end of the litigation is where we try to get most of our clients' efforts.
Thank you. Kathy, often another common concern could be the financial consequences of seeking litigation and legal counsel. Will health insurance companies request reimbursement of the medical bills they've already covered if a legal case results in a compensation?
Quite often, yes. And actually most often, yes. A lot of our insurance policies that we all hold at various different times in our life have a clause in them called a subrogation clause. And essentially what that big word means is that if you are going to recover for an injury caused by someone else, but your medical care was paid for by another insurance entity, one can seek to get reimbursed from the recovery you do receive. And so it seems somewhat unfair. You've paid those premiums throughout your lifetime, and now they want to come and get some of the recovery you've had to work very hard and hire lawyers to get for you. And so we work with these companies. That is part of what we take on as a task with our clients, to try and ensure that we are effectively trying to reduce the medical liens that insurance companies do put out there. And that also includes Medicare and Medicaid. They will come and knock and ask for their money. And so we have worked with various different lien reduction companies to try and get a good solid understanding of how we can negotiate those best for the clients, and to try and get them capped or reduced significantly, so that we are trying to put more of the recovery that we do get in the hard-fought lawsuit into the client's pockets, but still be fair to the insurance companies.
Thank you, Kathy, for that explanation. That helps clarify that question. Cori, some patients worry that taking legal action could actually mean going to trial. How often do meso cases actually go to trial, and what are the alternatives?
That's a good question. We understand that the word trial is scary, and that a lot of our clients do worry about trial itself. At DOBS, we prepare each case individually in anticipation of trial. As Kathy said earlier, we leave no stone unturned. In the event that we have to go to trial, we are prepared, and we have our clients prepared for what trial means. We try our best to reach resolution with the defendants in the case prior to trial, but if we can't come to a resolution or a settlement that we feel is representative of the loss that our client has suffered, we will move forward to trial. Our clients are involved in that process. They're aware of what's going on. They're aware of settlement offers that come along, and they take our advice, and we guide them through trial. They will not be unprepared if we do have to go to trial. There are settlements that we can get for our clients that don't involve trial. As Kathy mentioned before, there are bankruptcy claims that are available for some of our clients that we can reach without going to trial. And there are other avenues of settlement that we can obtain without going to trial. We pursue everything that we can for our clients, and we make sure that they are confident in our decisions, and we are confident in the way that they want to proceed.
So, Kathy, for many, this process is about more than just money. How does pursuing a case help hold companies accountable for asbestos exposure?
One of the things that I think litigation has been used historically for is to deter bad behavior. And one of the sort of obligations that I think people who are diagnosed with this disease feel, and this is from them telling us this, is that this is so unfair that it happened to them and their family that they don't want it to happen to other families. And so making society aware, companies aware that behavior or disregard for the health of people who are afflicted with diseases that are absolutely not their fault, but could have been prevented, 100% prevented. It's important for the victims of this disease, the fighters of this disease, to have a platform to say this to the companies, and also for the companies to be aware that such behavior, choosing profits over people's lives, won't be tolerated. And that's one of the missions of Dean Omar, Branham, and Shirley, is to let these people who are unfairly diagnosed with this disease speak their piece and be able to seek compensation and get justice against a company who chose their own pocket over the life of our client.
So many complications that engaging in this process can bring up. I think families often also wonder about timing. If a patient passes away during the case, what happens to the lawsuit? And can families still pursue the case and compensation after the loved one has passed away?
Brian, they can. Broadly speaking, the family members have an option to continue with the case on behalf of their loved ones if the patient would pass away. It's a very hard conversation to have with our clients, but it's one that we have often at the beginning of our representation of them. We talked with them and we talked with their family about what would happen if they would pass away when the lawsuit is still continuing. We want to make sure that we are following their wishes and also that their family is following their wishes. Often our patients really are looking out for their family, and they want the lawsuit to continue, and they want to make sure that their family is provided for. So we carry on their wishes and we make sure that we do pursue the lawsuit on behalf of their family.
And, a few words for patients and caregivers who are already feeling overwhelmed. Their lives are full. They're caring for their loved ones. They're worried about their future. What would you say to someone who is unsure if pursuing legal action is worth the emotional energy during such a difficult time in their life and their family's lives?
And Brian, it's a really tough question. And I think it's probably one of the hardest of all of them that you have given us, because we're asking people for their time in a period of their life where they don't know how much more time they have. And so it is a big ask of people, but that is also why we are so passionate about giving our clients one-on-one attention, their families, the attention that this deserves. And so one of the things that I would say is that it isn't something that's going to take zero amount of your time. It is going to require participation with us. We don't know anything about your exposures or your life or your case until you start talking with us. And so it is ever present in our mind that your time is precious. And so we try to utilize the amount of time we do need with you very efficiently, and let you know, give you a roadmap of what your case is going to look like and when we are going to need your attention, so that we can get some things out of the way right up front, so that you can focus on time with your family, on your medical care. And I have had this conversation with so many of our clients, is this going to be worth it? Are you going to make this worth my time? And one of the toughest sells I ever had was a gentleman in Minnesota, and he basically just really questioned me on this at the beginning. And I said, I'm going to be kind of in your face a lot here at the beginning until we can get all the facts we need to move forward with your case. He did not want to do a deposition. He did an amazing job in his deposition. And afterwards, he hugged me and thanked me, because he said it was the most cathartic thing he had gotten to do in all of this, was to tell his story. And I think that a lot of times the clients feel that, and it's something that actually ends up being a really big part of their journey through this disease, is to be able to tell their story and to make other people take notice of how they were hurt and how this is impacting their family. So it does more than just put compensation in their pocket. It actually gives them some emotional release as well. So in the end, I think that the lawsuit can serve many purposes, both financial, but also an emotional healing that needs to happen in a lot of our clients' lives as well.
Thank you for that. As we near the end of our time together, is there any other observations or any other experiences you would like to share with our community as they look to possibly consider engaging, with legal counsel for whatever reasons those might be?
Brian, I think that one thing we want to make sure that all patients know when they're considering legal representative is that they shouldn't be scared to ask all questions. This is the most important thing that's happened in their life. Most likely it's scary, it's overwhelming, and we're here to answer questions and to help them as much as they can. They should ask, and they should make sure that we are answering the questions that they want. And we're always there for them. They can call us, they can talk to us at any time. And we want to make sure that they feel represented and that they feel taken care of.
Kathy Farinas, Cori Kapusta, thank you so much for walking us through these important questions today. Legal representation can feel like an intimidating subject, but you've helped explain it in a way that brings clarity and reassurance to our community at a very difficult time. On behalf of the Mesothelioma Applied Research Foundation, I want to thank Dean Omar, Branham, and Shirley for generously supporting the Meso Foundation and for their ongoing commitment to supporting the Meso patients and families within our community. And thank you to our audience for joining us. If you'd like to watch more episodes of Meet the Meso Experts or any of our other educational and informational programming, please visit our website at curemeso.org.
Thank you.
Thank you.